Hey everybody, welcome back. Craig Schaup here with Bob Garver, our film critic from New York City. Bob is here. We are talking movies after a little brief hiatus. Bob, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. So good to be back.
That's fantastic to hear. And I know that you've been busy here in between our last session. So we have several movies to get us going here. Talk a little bit about the first one, Black Phone 2.
Well, this was the big movie of the Halloween season. It's a follow up to a film from 2022 that starred Ethan Hawke as a kidnapper who was foiled by children with supernatural abilities, one of whom could talk to previous victims via a mysterious phone in the kidnapper's house, and one of whom could had a psychic visions. And this movie follows up with them a few years later, and they have to deal with him again, coming at them from beyond the grave.
Well, obviously a pretty popular first entry into the I guess it's going to be a franchise potentially here, and obviously a good payday for Ethan Hawke. But does this movie stand up to the first one as far as quality goes? I know a lot of people enjoyed the first one. It made a lot of money at the box office, so it's definitely a movie that not surprised it got a sequel, and especially when we're looking at the horror genre as in general. But does this movie live up to the expectations the first one set?
Well, it should be noted I didn't care for the first one.
Okay.
Scott Derrickson is a director that I know a lot of people like. I have never really seen the appeal of his movies,
Hmm.
um, except that he designed a really good villain in the form of Bagul for his Sinister franchise. But other than that, his movies never really do it for me. So I didn't much care for the first movie, and this one does not live up to even that, unfortunately.
All right. A final grade
Um,
for Blackbone 2.
C minus. I felt this one just kind of forced a sequel because they wanted a franchise, even though there's really no reason to bring back this character. And I don't need to. I didn't need a follow up with the victims.
All right. Well, it seems like this year we've had quite a few reviews from you on animated movies. Here is another one, Chainsaw Man, the movie. Obviously, this is kind of out of my wheelhouse, and I think it's kind of out of yours as well, a little bit. But
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
I did see it because it made a lot of money,
it
but
did. It had a good box office run.
I yeah, this wasn't a movie for me because it kind of picks up in the middle of it clearly picks up in the middle of a series where I haven't seen the opening chapters, so
Right.
I was already at a disadvantage. It's about a guy who works as a devil hunter, which I suppose is different than a demon slayer or a K-pop demon hunter.
Right.
But he works as a devil hunter. He has the ability to turn his head into a chainsaw to fight off devils, and yet
Okay.
he doesn't use this power until the third act of the film uh,
Why not?
to
Right.
to fight off the typhoon devil and the bomb devil. The bomb devil um, has disguised itself as a woman that he's fallen in love with, and he has conflicted feelings about fighting her. But yeah, I was just kind of lost on this one. For people who follow this franchise from the beginning and who want to tell me I'm wrong for not liking it, that's perfectly fine. But I
Yeah.
didn't feel that this was a good entry point for a franchise, and I was just lost. So I couldn't go higher than a C minus.
Right. It's got to be hard for and I know that this is a for the fans kind of movie probably, but it's got to be hard for people to kind of randomly drop into a the middle of something and hope they can understand what's going on. It's got to be pretty frustrating. But then again, it's also you're releasing this movie in hopes that you get a big box office return, and obviously there's a built-in audience for it, so you're going to get those fans, but you also want to try to attract the mass appeal audience that may be like, well, I like animation, I like this style, so I'm going to go to it. But then you're kind of dropped into the middle of a story that you just don't know much about. So, do you think there needs to be like a happy balance of maybe getting people that aren't really familiar up to speed, or do you think that since this is like a for the fans kind of thing that they can just kind of keep doing this kind of stuff and they'll still make good money off of it?
I think they probably should have done a better job of catching new viewers up, but yeah, I think they could have done a better job of catching new viewers up without really sacrificing their fan base.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, and like you said, C minus for this. We kind of transitioned to something you would think would be a little bit lighter hearted, but it's a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. So, going from a chainsaw on a head movie to a Yorgos Lanthimos movie might not be a big transition here. Lanthimos is obviously a very unique director. Takes a lot of big swings with The Lobster, The Favorite, Poor Things, Kinds of Kindness. Now he's got Bugonia, another potential Oscar darling, maybe, at least maybe for Emma Stone, who's a frequent collaborator with him. Is this a good Yorgos or too weird Yorgos?
It's not a too weird Yorgos, but maybe it's kind of a tedious Yorgos.
Okay.
Because this one plays things relatively straight for most of its runtime.
Okay.
It's about a pharmaceutical CEO played by Emma Stone who gets kidnapped by this cult leader played by Jesse Plemons, who believes she is an alien, and he wants to make contact with her mothership and try to negotiate for the safety of Earth. Of course, it sounds crazy, and she tells him he's crazy, and it turns out he might not be so crazy.
Okay.
And the movie eventually follows her to another planet, although it might be like a fantasy or dream sequence as opposed to her actually turning out to be an alien, or maybe she really is an alien.
Right.
You just have to see the movie to see. But yeah, I mean, considering the entire how there was an entire Yorgos world created for Poor Things, this one is relatively subdued.
Okay. Obviously, Emma Stone is a frequent collaborator, and Jesse Plemons now is sort of becoming a frequent collaborator with him. I know there's been a little bit of buzz with them for Oscar nominations for their acting roles. Do you kind of see that here with this? I mean, obviously, Lanthimos is sometimes hit and miss, but when he hits, he really hits. So I do kind of wonder, do you think this is going to be lost in the fall shuffle, or can you see some, acting nominations possibly for the two leads?
I see this one getting lost in the shuffle. Plemons, I don't see getting nominated at all. Stone, I could see getting nominated, but she won't win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically, if she gets nominated, it'll be because the Academy just loves Emma Stone so much.
They do.
It'll be like Meryl Streep picking up nomination after nomination, even
Right.
though her odds of winning for most of her individual movies are not great.
Yeah. Okay. What's your final grade for Bugonia?
C.
All right.
It has its moments, but there's too few and far between
Sure.
them.
All right. Well, we dig back into the IP franchise. Predator Badlands is our last movie we'll talk to Bob about today. This is another one of those IPs that's been around now for 40 years almost with Predator. And here we get, in recent years, we've had, Shane Black has tackled this franchise. Now we have Dan Trachtenberg taking on the last couple of Prey that came out on Hulu a couple of years ago. And then also there's a anthology movie series that's on Hulu right now, animated movie that he also directed. But here he goes back to live action Predator with Badlands. Tell us about this one, Bob.
Well, this one stars actually stars a predator, which I believe is the first for the series. Mm-hmm. But it's about a little runty one named Deck who needs to complete a successful hunt to not be put to death by his father. And he goes after a high-value target on another planet, and he teams up with a synthetic human 2, played by Elle Fanning, and the two of them hunt this high value target together. But it turns out that the high value target might not be worth keeping as a trophy to either party. So there's an unlikely friendship and even a family there, which sounds sweeter than than it is, because it's still a violent predator and a robot.
Yeah. Well, this franchise seems to have kind of regained some steam. It seems like we see this a lot. I mean, obviously, the Planet of the Apes franchise got a nice reboot over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
We've seen off and on some of the Alien and Predator movies, and also Alien versus Predator movies that have been, made or rebooted, or however you want to describe it, team up. Obviously, Godzilla and Kong and other movies in the MonsterVerse. So, it seems like we're kind of digging into the well in some of these 80s movies or beyond, and here we have Predator. I mean, is this a worthy entry? I mean, I've never been a big Predator fan to begin with, but is this a good film in the Predator franchise?
Well, I'm like you. I was never a big Predator fan, even with the Arnold movie.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, what I wanted to see from the Arnold movie was a lot of interaction between him and Jesse Ventura, two governors in an action movie together.
Yes.
And when I saw it, there was disappointingly little interaction between the two, and I couldn't enjoy the rest of the movie with Arnold just tingling with Predator. So I've never been a huge fan of this series, although I've heard very good things about Prey.
Yeah,
and its lead performance from Amber Midthunder, who was in Novocaine earlier this year.
Right.
I was hoping that somehow she would make an appearance in this movie. She didn't, and neither does Arnold, because I know there's a rumor about him returning to the franchise. Maybe he will in an upcoming installment, but he's not here. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie well enough. Between the robot and the surprisingly good performance by the Predator.
Okay. What's your final grade for Predator Badlands?
B-. I found a movie I can recommend.
That's good to hear. All right. Well, for those of you that are looking for something to watch this weekend, Predator Badlands had a nice little opening weekend for itself, over $80 million worldwide. So a nice opening week for that movie. And anything coming up on the horizon? I know we've got some big releases coming up in the near future, but what are we going to have? When are we going to talk to you next, and what do you have?
Well, this coming weekend, we have Now You See Me, Now You Don't, another installment in the Magician franchise. We have The Running Man, which is an update of a property where another property with both Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jesse Ventura, a property where the two did interact and they fought, and one ostensibly killed the other. So if that movie fit my criteria a lot better than Predator. But yeah, there's a new version of that with Glenn Powell. After that, a weekend where Wicked for Good is going to dominate everything. And then after that, a weekend where Zootopia 2 is going to dominate everything except maybe Wicked.
All right. Well, a lot of good stuff coming up here as the holiday movie season really ramps up. And, you mentioned The Running Man, obviously Edgar Wright taking the reins of that film, which I'm very excited to see what he does with that movie.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. Well, as always, we appreciate you stopping by, and we hope you have fun at the movies, and we will talk again real soon.
Thank you very much. This is the highlight of my week.